Have you ever missed any shots in TF2? Of course you have, you're not a filthy aimbot, right? Today I'm going to tell you that missing shots is not your fault. Then what's making me miss my shots, you may ask? You see these bunch of pixels over here? Yeah, those are making you miss your shots. And right now, I am going to review every single one of these, so that you can maximize your chance of hitting your shots. Let's begin. The default crosshair. It brings me back to the good old days when I was a new player and I didn't know that I could change this thing. Now, this crosshair isn't really all that bad. It changes based on what type of weapons you're using. Sure, you do lose the consistency, but it gives you the visual cue that you should aim differently. For instance, you should flick and track with the scattergun so the crosshair looks like this. With the ball over here, you need to pre-aim because it's a projectile, so the crosshair looks different. I'd say this is a good thing for new players because it reminds the players of what weapon they're using. But for experienced players, they probably know what they're doing already, so the changes on the crosshair is kinda unnecessary and pretty distracting. But still, the default crosshair is still generally usable, so I'll give it a B tier. This crosshair is big and it's only filled with a tiny teeny dot. In my opinion, this big crosshair does help you focus more on your aim because it's just so big that it attracts your attention a lot. And the more attention you give to your crosshair, the higher the chance that you're going to hit your shot, right? I think this crosshair works with shotguns, projectiles, flamethrowers, and just anything that doesn't require pinpoint accuracy. With the ambassador or the sniper rifle, these 4 lines do get a bit annoying because it blocks a decent amount of your screen. Basically, this is a really good crosshair when you're not using accurate weapons. And it's pretty bad if you're using accurate ones. Since there aren't really that many accurate weapons in TF2, I'll give it another solid B. This just straight up looks weird. It's crosshair 1 but without the line on top. It does block less of the screen, but it's not horizontally symmetrical, which is something that I cannot bear seeing. It just fries my brain, man, I'm telling you. It could be good if you get used to it, but I doubt anyone would. It's just too different from the other crosshairs, and I unfortunately dislike it. Crosshair 2 fans out there, I'm sorry, but this crosshair is a D. The Banny crosshair. Need I say more? It's just big enough to get your attention while simultaneously giving some negative space so that you can see what you're actually hitting. It's also pretty minimalistic and it doesn't block your screen entirely. The only downside with this crosshair is that with the ambi, it's kinda hard to tell whether you will hit a headshot. If the circle is only half filled up, then it's quite hard to tell whether you're on target or not. Apart from that, there really are no more disadvantages. It works great on shotguns, pistols, projectiles alike, and therefore, I will give this a solid A. Theoretically, this crosshair should work well because it doesn't take up much space and it gives you some negative space to see through it. But in my opinion, this crosshair is way too freaking thin. It just kinda sits there and does nothing to attract your attention, so when the situation becomes very chaotic, you can't even tell where your crosshair is. With the ambi, the problem becomes even worse as the crosshair is even thinner and smaller, so this crosshair is gonna get a mega ultra solid D. A crosshair can't be good if you can't see it, right? This crosshair is what I use normally and it's so freaking good. It's minimalistic yet it can grab your attention. Just look at that vivid, bright neon green ball. Absolutely stunning, right? It works well with hit scans and projectiles because of its all-roundedness in both minimalism and grabbing your attention. It can do both things very nicely. The only downside of this ball is that you have no negative space at all, so you cannot really see the exact spot that you're shooting at. But honestly, it's so small that it's fine even without the negative space, and that's why I use this crosshair personally, and I think it deserves an A. What in the ever-living hell is this? This thing has nothing that indicates the center of the screen. It merely surrounds it. That isn't a problem with inaccurate weapons such as projectiles or pistols or SMGs, but with a sniper rifle or an ambi, this crosshair is almost unusable. Just look at that huge, square-shaped negative space. It's disgusting, man. You can't see shit. If you use this crosshair, I feel deeply sorry for you, and I urge you to switch things up. D tier, let's move on. This looks similar to Crosshair 4, but it's orientated in a different way and it's thickened. And holy hell, it's so much better. It's thick so it grabs your attention, and that little intersection there represents the center of the screen very well. The only problem is that it's a bit on the bigger side, so it may distract you a bit too much, but still, it's a great crosshair, and I would say it's something between A and B. So, which ones are the best crosshairs in the game? The answer is these two. They're both very minimalistic, eye-catching, and work well for all weapons, but to be honest, Just experiment with the crosshairs yourself and find which one suits you. It's all subjective, I'm just telling you my thoughts, alright? Also, be sure to join my Discord server. You can opt in for stream or video notifications, hang out with other gamers, or talk to me. It's free to join, so you have nothing to lose. So join it right now, and thank you for watching.